The following statement was taken unedited from Galen of Bristol's Facebook post. I have added my commentary throughout. Be advised, this video is probably going to be long as shit. That being said, hold on to your butts. It's going to be semi-entertaining. First of all, let me disclose that I really don't care that I dropped this person's name in this video because they felt the need to post this on Facebook. And even though they might have pulled this down, well, social consequences and all that stuff. That being said, let's jump right into it. Again, taken unedited from Galen of Bristol's Facebook post.
This is for folks in the SCA. I've been holding this in for a few days, hoping things would die down, but with the exercise in 21st century corporate political correctness and virtue signaling that they're calling the statement of values from the order of defense, I can see things are only going to escalate. You know we're tearing the SCA apart, right? And I believe it's because we're not seeing each other in person anymore. Too many of us no longer see each other as human because we're only interacting on social media, and too many of us are too caught up in mundane news on our screens and devices and somehow feel the need to bring it to the SCA.
Now, let me stop you right here, buddy. First of all, you really could have walked away from this. You could have wrote this out, kept it to yourself, read it a few times, sat back, and deleted it. But here we are. Are we tearing down the SCA, or are we tearing apart the SCA that you know and you love? Because sometimes when there's a tick in an engine, you got to pull that engine apart to find out exactly what that tick is, where it is, and what exactly it's doing. The tick is you. Furthermore, the idea that we're bringing politics into the SCA from the outside world, you realize this does not exist in a vacuum, right? That stuff out there affects us in here, and us in here, we affect stuff out there. There are some of us, those of us of a melanated persuasion, who we really ain't got no option to ignore this kind of stuff because it's playing with our fucking lives. Now, where was I? Oh yeah.
Even Master Davis, who wrote an eloquent post calling for all of us to unify around our shared love of things medieval, couldn't resist calling people as allies and bigots. To many of us, many of you appear to be on a rampage, and frankly, it's scaring us.
You're scared. I wouldn't have any idea what that feels like at all. That's sarcasm for the stupid. Moving on.
We feel unwelcome in the kingdoms we helped to build and gave the best years of our lives to.
Oh, poor baby. You feel unwelcome because you've got some fucked up views and people have decided that they're not going to listen to it or tolerate it anymore? Oh no!
I'm seeing a whole lot of hashtag not my SCA hashtags, and you're not limiting yourself to just hating on Nazis, even while you're patting yourselves on the back for unearthing an actual Nazi, taking such pride in hating the right people. You seem so concerned that someone unsavory might reflect badly on the SCA, as though we should only be letting the right sort join our club. Here's a specific example that I'm talking about. It was posted as a comment by my regional seneschal, Countess Torin, quote, "Stopping discrimination, casual racism, homophobia, and sexism in the SCA is exactly my business. I am a Rosa von Stiora, and that nonsense has no place in my SCA," end quote. What is wrong with this?
because I would think that stopping discrimination and casual racism and homophobia and sexism and all that good stuff is a good thing. Oh wait, that's your default setting. So she's basically telling you to shut the fuck up, and you don't like that. I can see why this is starting to stick in your craw a little bit. Then, of course, we have Master Avery's announcement on the Onstior Facebook group of why the SCA has authority to censor our expression and kick us out if we say something the SCA disapproves of. I know what you disapprove of, Avery. It's people saying Wuhan in the Onstior Facebook group, but it's emphatically not your officers using explicitly partisan political symbols as profile pictures while posting official business to SCA forums. So, you're angry that people using a racist connotation for a sickness has somehow gotten them in trouble. You're angry that a private organization has decided that maybe they don't want these kind of people taking part in their organization, and they decided to show them the door. Do you feel like your First Amendment right has been violated? Is that it? Do you feel like you lost your freedom of speech? Well, I'm really trying not to laugh at you right now. I'm really trying, but fuck it, I'm gonna laugh anyway, because, dude, you clearly don't know what freedom of speech means. Freedom of speech keeps you out of jail, but it's not going to protect you from getting kicked out of a private organization. It doesn't protect you from social consequences. And when you say, "Quiet, boy, I'm trying to monologue," and when you say stuff like that, well, people don't want to be around you. But, you know, I mean, I clearly don't know what I'm talking about, though. So, you know, I'm just gonna move on. Now, let me make myself clear. Unlike Master Mateo's vague accusations in the Ask the Chivalry group, I'm going to provide some context. I've been in the SCA for 41 years and spent that time recruiting. We always have room for more nice people, I often say. Nobody told me that I should be screening new people for progressive orthodoxy. I am a Roman Catholic, mundanely. I actually believe in all that stuff. Sin and redemption and salvation and resurrection and forgiveness. All of it. I can overlook sins because I'm a sinner myself. I can get along with sinners because there's no one else to get along with. But I don't embrace sin. I don't applaud it. I don't approve of it. And I don't pretend that it isn't sin. I don't accept that a relationship between two people of the same sex can be a marriage. That's just not what the word means. And if your political agenda requires that we defund the Salvation Army and put out businesses of every photographer and baker and caterer and venue owner who doesn't want to attend your gay wedding, then I'm not going to be your fucking ally. I'm happy to have gays in the SCA, but to many of you, that makes me a homophobe and unwelcome. Well, I don't understand how you just completely missed why people feel the way they feel about what you had to say. So, because these two people love each other, you don't think that their marriage is something that should have been legitimized? They're not entitled to the same rights as you as human beings? Is that what you're saying? Because that's what it sounds like. And if you think that allowing two people to get married because they love each other is a political agenda, then, you know, so be it. Sure, it's a political agenda. So is civil rights. I believe this falls under that. That would actually take you having a bit of empathy for other people, though. But clearly this is not your strong suit. Like, I'm really, really, like, choking on my own vomit reading this shit. But I'm gonna soldier on because that's what I do. Also, don't call it a gay wedding. It's just a wedding. It's just a fucking wedding.
I view abortion very simply as the intentional taking of an innocent human life. To me, this offends against the rules of chivalry and mercy. I am monumentally uninterested in lessons on morality from supporters of abortion rights. I don't treat people who disagree with me on this differently, but to many of you, this makes me a misogynist and someone you don't want to be around.
Well, if somebody was to tell somebody else that, well, I don't like your particular system of beliefs, I don't think I would want that person around me either. You know, look, you don't have to like abortion. You're a dude, so you can't get one. And you don't have to like it. I don't like it either. But you know what? It's not my place to make that choice. Build a bridge and get over it. If you're mad, scratch your ass and get glad. You'll be alright. Moving on. Science teaches me that sex is an essential attribute of human life, encoded in every cell down to the chromosome level. I can accept that a person can, based on their feelings. Oh, correction. I can't accept that a person can, based on their feelings, transition from male to female, nor female to male. No, not with any amount of surgery. I can accept people's persona play any way they feel like playing it. But to many of you, this makes me a transphobe and dangerous. 'Cause you are. First of all, why are you so concerned with what's between other people's legs? What business is that of yours? You know, I have a lot of people that I know and love very dearly who just so happen to be trans. And that's a hard decision that they had to make. And the process was probably even harder. That being said, I'm not going to sit here and listen to you invalidate their existence. Because if you said that shit in front of me, I'd probably break your jaw. Feel free to write that down and send it to the bot. Tell them, Stallion threatened to punch me in the face. They'd probably laugh and say, yeah, he does that. Now, where was I? I mean, this is really like digging through a wagon full of shit. But I'm willing to get my hands dirty because can't stand people like you. I cannot support the Black Lives Matter organization because not only do I disagree with their tactics of blocking traffic and rioting, not only do I disagree with their hatred of all law enforcement, not only do I deny that a disproportionate number of innocent blacks are killed by police, I particularly object to the rest of their agenda, which explicitly includes the disruption of traditional family structures. Pause. Bitch, what? What even did that last part mean? Disruption of traditional family structure. If you don't sit your goofy, roly-poly ass down somewhere with that bullshit. Alright, first of all, BLM. BLM does not hate all law enforcement. They're asking for an end to police brutality. They're asking for police accountability. And if that bothers you, perhaps you got some soul searching to do. Now, I used to be a police officer. I understand that that job is indeed hard. But I also understand that that job attracts certain kinds of people. You probably would have been a really, really good cop. And I don't mean that in a good way. I mean because you seem to be obsessed with the idea of having power over other people's lives. You seem to like to push people around. And you seem to like to be loud and beat your chest and rah, rah, rah and all that bullshit. Oh man, you would have been a stellar police officer. Unfortunately, there are many, many more out there like you. Like that guy who kneeled on a poor man's neck for 8 minutes. 8 minutes and 47 seconds to be precise. Also, this whole denial of disproportionate number of black people killed by police, dude, there's statistical data that backs that. You ain't gotta believe it. That doesn't make it not real. You could say water ain't wet. That don't make it not true. I could also say that you're a decent human being, but of course I'd be lying. Let's see. That sort of disruption has been going on in the black community for over 50 years, and it's been an absolute disaster for millions of people who were forced to grow up in broken homes, raised by only one parent or none. The black illegitimacy rate is sky high, and the rest of American society is following fast. I've never discriminated against any person of color in the SCA, but to many of you, this makes me a racist, someone who should be thrown out. How do you know you've never discriminated against somebody? Because, in just this pile of vomit that I'm sorting through, you've discriminated against the LGBT community, black people, who else? Oh, women. Dude, you're fucked up. You need professional help, and you probably need a hug, but I'm not gonna do it. Also, the illegitimacy rate. What do you mean by that? Like kids born out of wedlock? Happens everywhere. I mean, I get what you're saying. And because I get what you're saying, you are indeed a racist, bro. You are. It's okay, though. Embrace it. Own it. And while you own it, carry your ass out the door. I believe that Antifa is anti-American, corporately funded, professionally organized, violent, and an insurrectionist group whose purpose is far from opposing fascism. It's to overturn a valid election and terrorize the American people into choosing its preferred figurehead in the upcoming election. God, if I had a $50 bill for every time you were just flat out wrong, I could pay my rent this month. I mean, I can't anyway, but still, you get what I'm saying. Look, man, we literally had a war that was anti-fascist versus fascist. It's called World War II. You're a veteran, ain't you? Look it up. Like, how do you not? You know what? I'm not even gonna try to wrap my head around that. Like, dude, you're a fucking idiot. I believe that living in America is not a human right that redounds to the entire human race. Instead, I believe that stopping illegal immigration is an existential necessity. But I presume without asking that all immigrants I meet in the SCA came here legally. To many of you, this also makes me a racist unworthy of your company. Now, if people think this, it's probably because you've said some shit, or you probably posted some memes, or you probably said some shit, or you probably posted some memes that really say that I think that most brown people probably hop the border and I don't want them in my country. Bro, people aren't coming to these conclusions for no fucking reason. I mean, this whole manifesto of yours, man, this sounds like some shit a school shooter would write. I proudly voted for Donald Trump in 2016. Oh, so you are stupid. And I look forward to doing the same again in 2020. Oh, so you dumb. Got it. In fact, I have voted Republican in every presidential election since 1980. Many of my dear friends are on the opposite side, but to many of you, this makes me deplorable. Actually, no, y'all adopted that label yourself. I got t-shirts and shit. We didn't call you that. You called yourselves that. Somebody you want out. Social media is filled lately with the SCA people rioting, figuratively, not literally, burning down the structures and communities that keep our kingdoms running. Like what? I'm talking about the relationships and your incessant virtue signaling. Yes, I said virtue signaling. You're trying to outdo each other in your virtuous hate of people you consider reprehensible. You're destroying the SCA because the SCA has always welcomed all kinds of people, every one of them imperfect. You may have noticed I haven't said I hate Nazis. Do you know why? Because I'm a veteran, like my father and like his father, and like two of my brothers and my sister, like my father-in-law, and I have a son and a sister-in-law serving on active duty now, so I don't need to virtue signal who I like and who I do not like. I don't take pride in who I hate. Pride is a sin, and opposing evil is a sad duty, nothing to be proud of. If you could see how hard I'm rolling my eyes at you right now. Look, dude. There's literally nothing wrong with hating Nazis. In fact, it's one of the most American things you can do. It's the only form of hate in America that I find to be acceptable. Also, is this not virtue signaling in itself? You are displaying your virtues, your values, and your beliefs to the rest of the world. That's all this manifesto is. It's one big virtue signal. And since when has it been a bad thing to show the world where you stand? Since when? Oh, since they probably don't stand beside you. Got it. In your SCA, you need to amend the membership application to include a place to affirm one's fealty to the BLM platform, the LGBTQ agenda, the open borders policy of the Democratic Party, and whatever politically correct motivation CNN and the New York Times may come up with next week. Kneeling, public confession, head shaving, because your SCA is not about studying and recreating the Middle Ages. It's about enforcing 21st century woke political correctness on every person in every activity. It's like the old Soviet slogan, everything within the party, nothing outside the party. But for most of us, back in the day, it was about escaping the modern world. That's no longer permissible to you. If you were honest about what you want to turn the SCA into, you'd never recruit another person who was interested in the actual Middle Ages. Fuck, where do I start? Let's start from the beginning. We need to amend the membership application to include a place to affirm that you're not a racist, not a sexist, and not really concerned about where somebody comes from. I fixed that for you, by the way. Kneeling. Do you even know what that protest is about? Probably not, because you weren't paying attention. I don't even know what this public confessions and head shaving shit is about. I don't. Moving on. A few years ago, after listening to my baron and baroness and my baronial seneschal plead for someone to step up to apply to be the new seneschal, since no one else would, I applied. I'm a former prince, a former territorial baron, a double peer, and a former kingdom seneschal. I consider myself qualified. I think you're a shit human being, and I don't agree. I was told that I couldn't be a baronial seneschal because my views would make homosexuals feel unwelcome in the SCA. I think they're right. Never mind that no one can point to a single person I've ever made feel unwelcome in the SCA. Now, here's the problem with that. They don't necessarily have to have a person to point to and say, you made this person uncomfortable, to show that you have the potential to do so. I don't know a single person that you've made uncomfortable, but in reading all of this shit, I'm guaranteeing you, you've made a lot of people uncomfortable with you. You are clearly unsafe and unqualified to be seneschal. Oh well. Now I gotta catch up where I am. I've worked hard to make everyone welcome. Really? To encourage. To teach. And to compliment everyone who wanted my teaching or encouragement. I don't think anybody wants anything to do with you after reading this. The SCA, in its, quote, inclusivity, end quote, was making me unwelcome because we don't like homophobic, racist bigots. No one really does except other homophobic, racist bigots. Today, my regional kingdom seneschals, along with a chorus of voices here on Facebook, are making me feel that my place in the SCA is untenable, that at any moment something I said will get me kicked out as summarily as Wolfgang von Sachsenhausen. Yeah, oh, was that the guy that said that black people's lives will matter when they contribute to society? That guy? Yeah, he deserved to go. I hope he holds the door open for you too. Now that you've done one, the next one will be easier, and the one after that. Yeah, you guys are getting easier to identify, especially when you write shit like this and post it. Yeah, keep doing stuff like that. Keep showing us who you are, because that just makes our job easier. We will find you, and we will get rid of you. You form your own club with skinheads and neo-Nazis and blackjack and hookers and whatever else you want to have. You just won't have it with us. As St. Thomas More says, a man for all seasons. Yes, I give the devil the benefit of law for my own safety's sake. Because you see, as you've gotten rid of the worst person in the kingdom, I see you still here, then someone else is the new worst person. That would probably be you. Get rid of him, and there's someone else in line. And once you're in the business of getting rid of the worst person in the kingdom, how do you stop? By getting rid of the last bad person. Thanks for asking. Someone is always the worst person, and you convince yourself that your virtue depends on getting rid of him. Somehow, a vague concern that a bad person on Facebook might reflect badly on the SCA is the highest concern. 'Cause it is. Because you're visible, and you're directly tied to said group, and people judge the group by what others people in the group say and do. You a grown-ass man. How do you not know this? Do you have kids? God, I hope some woman didn't let you sweat on top of her. Ugh. Now, where was I? You said that somehow vague concern that a bad person on Facebook might reflect badly on the SCA is the highest concern. But reflect badly to who? Who's paying attention other than people who are already in the SCA, who are eaten up with ridiculous notions about collective guilt and collective virtue, and who believe that the only way to improve their own virtue is to carefully ostracize anyone who doesn't meet their media decreed standards for moral excellence so they can be found worthy by whom? I really like how you're trying to spin this and make it a political thing when it's really a humanitarian thing. People as a whole are coming to the conclusion that racism might be bad, sexism might be bad, gay people exist and deserve the same rights as everybody else, trans people exist and deserve the same rights as everybody else. They deserve to live safe. But you seem to have an issue with all of that. So when people on the outside who are of those communities see people like you, kind of turns them off from the organization. And I know that to be a fact. I've had people tell me, well, I don't think I want to join the SCA because, I am of X particular group. And they don't seem very welcoming. That's because of people like you. Somehow, people who've recently come into the SCA have indicted us old timers for not anticipating the political climate of 2020 40 years in advance, and feel the need to correct systemic racism and sexism that has always marked our society. But it hasn't. Except it has. The problem is it hasn't affected you as probably some old white dude, so you don't see it. And you're one of those people that you lack empathy, so when if something doesn't happen directly to you it doesn't exist. You've never seen anybody experience racism, to you racism doesn't exist. You never experienced sexism, to you it doesn't exist. It's not real. It's not real because, well, Bob, it's never happened to me. So, nah, I can't get behind that. The blacks are lying. The gays are lying. The women are lying. They're all fucking lying. The patriarchy rules the world. I need a mayonnaise sandwich. Calm down, baby.
I'm sorry. I've been trying real hard to be quiet the whole time, but that would fucking... Oh my god. I need a drink.
Oh my goodness. Fuck
I'm
up.
sorry. Please continue talking about the mayonnaise sandwiches.
We are almost done, and by almost done I mean we got a few more sentences left. The SCA has always been welcoming, egalitarian, and friendly to anyone who was interested, and I've been proud to be part of that. We literally had to have a vote to determine whether or not same-sex couples were allowed to compete in Crown. Shut the fuck up, you're wrong. So I'm done. If I'm going to be convicted by my words, let it be these words. I think there's sufficient evidence to convict you. And if you're not going to throw me out for what I've said here, then you can fucking well give up this idiocy of throwing people out of your SCA. If you want to be inclusive, start with the people who are already in the SCA. So the people like the black people who brought these concerns to the forefront, or the gay people who brought these concerns to the forefront, everybody who's brought up issues are people who were already in the SCA. So yeah, we're actually taking your advice. Can you feel that draft? That breeze? That's me holding the door open. Get the fuck out.